we are officially live and not in person today. Normally in person for State of Louisville Live, but a remote
Right.
State of Louisville Live. Going live on the X platform, otherwise known as Twitter. Do you still call it Twitter, Helen?
I've always called it Twitter. I won't get into any of that right now for any, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I will never not call it Twitter.
Can you go
So,
live on Blue Sky? I think we got to start streaming on Blue Sky. Maybe that's the next
uh,
step.
oh, I don't know. And I only touch base on that one. I don't really, I'm pretty much only Twitter's the only thing I can handle, if I'm honest. I can't do it all. Like Facebook, I
Right.
don't have like IG, I can't do it, man. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. The only one I've given up on is Facebook. I can't do it anymore. We need to for the sake of the business because we
Yeah.
get a lot of traction. But yeah, Facebook is tough to check. Have
Yeah.
it there for birthdays. You got to remember
Yeah.
Grandma's birthday.
Yeah.
State of Louisville Live. Alan Thomas, Press Meyer, presented by Surfside. If you haven't had a Surfside's blowing up in Louisville. I don't know if you've noticed. It's
It is,
blowing up everywhere you go.
yeah.
You see Surfside. And I think that's for a reason because they are delicious. Are you more of first of all, have you ever had a Surfside, Alan? Is that, yeah, I know that's not really your thing, but
No. I've heard
I,
it's good though. You
yeah,
know?
iced tea or lemonade are your options. I feel like you would be, you'd be an
Arnold
iced tea
Palmer.
guy. Oh, you do an Arnie Palmy?
Arnold, oh yeah, 100%. If there's two options, if I had those two, I'd probably mix two together in one. That's just how my brain works. Arnold Palmers are probably one of the most delicious things since the creation of like pizza or something like that. It's the
It's
two
great.
perfect. It's the sour, it's the sweet, it's awesome. Citrus, yeah, I love it.
I love it.
Delicious.
I couldn't be more of a Surfside fan. Like everywhere I go, if I sit down at a bar, that's the first thing I ask. Like, do you guys have Surfside? And if not, why am I not here? Why am I
Right,
here? Yeah, that's what I
right.
meant.
Don't you
Sorry.
know they sponsor us? Do you know who I am? Give me a Surfside.
If you are live on YouTube, you can comment and interact with us. And producer Jacob, who is behind the scenes, will throw it up on the screen. I want to hear score predictions and leading scorer. I know that's so generic, but we don't often. We're not going to get to interact as much with the remote audience when we're doing some more remote hits here in the future. So I want to hear just today leading scorer and your score prediction, or any other questions or comments that you have. Alan, Louisville basketball coming off a tough loss at Arkansas. We're kind of in this meat of a really difficult run, maybe the most difficult stretch in the schedule, and not a great start for Louisville at Arkansas. First true road game, and Louisville came out the gates kind of playing like it, kind of playing like they were a bit uncomfortable. Arkansas really forced them out of their comfort zone. I think that was my biggest takeaway. Was early on, Michael Brown and Ryan Conwell were frustrated, and they played angry. They play, like that Michael Brown dunk when you're down 20. Yeah, you love to see the dunk, but that was anger. He didn't care if that went in or not. He wanted to make a point there. He wanted to make a point. I thought Louisville played much better the last 25 minutes of the game. And then you got to when Louisville drew it within 4 or 5 points, and then things weren't going well on the offensive end. There was a lot of the jacking up of shots, and I know you guys got into this a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But would like to see some more maturity down the road. I think this sounds so cliche. It is something that they needed, right? Like, we needed to see what happens when things aren't going well. And that's the first time this season, the beginning of the Cincinnati game is what it is. I think they just weren't hitting shots. They were running good offense and playing good defense. They were playing okay defense at the beginning of the Cincinnati game. But this is really the first true taste of adversity that Louisville faced. You had a team that was bigger, longer, maybe more athletic, that played really well defensively, took away what they wanted to do. And Louisville's offense struggled, and then their defense struggled, in my opinion, because of the offense struggling, which is not the sign of a mature championship-esque team. So, I mean, I think that's kind of, as we're getting into the Indiana game, that may be something you want to see today. But I don't know, as things have kind of, settled, the dust has settled since, what's that, Wednesday, right? Tuesday or Wednesday.
Thursday?
Wednesday.
Am I tripping?
I think it was Wednesday.
Maybe. Yeah. Yes. Yes, it was.
Because since the dust has settled from a few days ago, any final thoughts as we're turning the page and looking forward to the Hoosiers?
Yeah, sorry, my little thing it picked up a motion sensor. I don't know if you saw that, but my camera like shifted real quick. There's like
I like
motion
that.
sensor thing.
I
I
know
didn't like it
that
because
was
any
really high
little
tech.
yeah, I was like, wait a minute, because I'm not just gonna sit still the whole time. So, um, no, I'm not reeling from the Arkansas loss in the weirdest way, right? Like, and I told somebody this because, and this is not a women's basketball podcast, but I did watch that game against South Carolina the other night,
Yeah.
and the end of that game like was more of a gut punch than the Arkansas game. And if you'd asked me preseason, would that have been true? I'd have said, hell no, that Arkansas game is really going to mean something if we lose, win or lose. And it was just a weird like acceptance I had about it all, to where it's just kind of like we did in the post game, just chalked it up to, hey, Cal's got our number. I don't know, there's no rhyme or reason for it. Um, so it was kind of like I'm at peace with that game. Went back and looked at the stats. The 8 for 37 3-pointers, not ideal. Um, but it's kind of funny because we're going into this game against Indiana today, and us and the Hoosiers are coming off very similar performances against different teams of different caliber,
Sure.
different circumstances. But IU shot 8 of 27. So we missed 10 more 3-pointers than they had. We attempted 10 more 3-pointers, like you just mentioned, many of which were ill-advised. I even think the Isaac McNeely turnaround curl that he had that was contested was ill-advised, but he hit it. So it's like it's with this team, it's one of those things like we as fans might just have to live with, like, if we're gonna shoot that many threes, you have to be a confident team. Like, I don't know if you want to take 37, if you're not hitting, even 20% of them or whatnot, but you still have to keep shooting. That's what we're built on. That's what our offense is based on. And we did win that second half. But yeah, the loss, Indiana's loss the other night. I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. It was to Minnesota. They were tied at halftime. Minnesota kind of took over. I didn't get a chance to watch this game. I wish I had done a little bit more intel into what happened, the breakdown of it. But the one thing that jumped off the screen for me is Minnesota for the game hit, I think, 15 of 26 from 3-point land.
Yeah.
That's 57%. That bodes well for us. Great news for us. Also, Minnesota shot 27 free throws. So, like, just two little things that jumped off that, like, at the end of the day, maybe Indiana fans are like, oh, well, that's why we lost. You know what I mean? We couldn't guard the three as well, had them get to the line too easily. So it kind of, not to say that makes Indiana look like a sloppy defensive team, but, you don't go to the free throw line 27 times just skipping around the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
This is a talented Indiana team. It's a team. Their coach Tucker DeVries is the son Tucker. Tucker's the son. Darian is the father.
yes. Sorry.
Darian DeVries. I apologize. I was looking at Tucker DeVries' stats a few minutes ago.
Is it DeVries or DeVries? I have never nailed this down. I don't know.
I say DeVries.
Okay, let's do it. His name's DeVries. You ever seen Fight Club when they're like, his name is Robert Paulson? We're like, his name is DeVries. That's what we're calling
exactly.
him.
That's it. That's what his mama named him, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what his mama called him. I'm gonna call him DeVries. His mom did not call him that. Anyway.
I will say this Minnesota performance for Indiana was the polar opposite of what we've seen from them so far this season, in a sense that they're one of the best teams in the country at defending the perimeter. So very unusual that Minnesota team made that many shots. A team that is projected to be one of the worst, if not the worst, in the Big Ten this year. So really kind of fascinating to see, right? But if you're looking at their, if you're just looking at the per game team and opponent stats, right? So Indiana makes 10.3 out of 27.9 attempts per game. It's good for about 37% from beyond the arc. Opponents are making 5.5 out of 18 for just over 30%. So, they're making 5 more threes per game than their opponent. I would venture to say if both teams play the way that they want to today, that will not be the case, even remotely close to that. So that will be interesting to watch for sure. Yeah. But they are top 20, top 25 in the country in defending the three. It's not. It's hard to judge, right? Because Indiana's schedule up leading into Minnesota, and I would even venture to say Minnesota is going to be a quad 3 loss for them. But
Yeah.
it's really hard to make any sort of definitive judgment based on their schedule so far. So, really curious to see what that looks like today. Indiana has some really talented players, including a player in Lamar Wilkerson, who a lot of fans
Mm-hmm.
really wanted, a guy that Louisville at least entertained the thought of bringing in a guy like this. So, Wilkerson was one of the better players in the transfer portal, came over from Sam Houston State. He's shooting over 40% from three, as is Tucker DeVries, the aforementioned Tucker DeVries, son of Coach Darian DeVries. Louisville faced them last year. I
Yep.
believe Tucker was kind of quasi injured last season,
He did
but
get
for
hurt in the game, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
So
So definitely, a little bit of that revenge factor today, right? Like obviously this is sort of a regional rival. I'm not sure that the coaches or players are really treating it like that, but it is definitely in a sense a rivalry game. And look, I mean, Darian DeVries is a good coach. He had a lot of success at West Virginia. There's a reason why he's the Indiana head coach now. Tucker is a really, really quality, difficult to defend and just overall difficult to play against guard. He shoots the rock really well, and he's a big guard, right? Like
yeah.
he kind of is. If you had to compare him to a player on Louisville's team, I'd say he's most like Isaac McNeely. And again, don't want to just pick out the lone white guy, but I mean, it is his game
I was
is
thinking it. I was thinking it.
his game is very similar, and then obviously Tatum Conaway, Reed Bailey, and Sam Alexis round out. Well, I guess Alexis doesn't even really get the start. I guess it's Connor. What is it, Connor Enright that normally gets the start for them. But Sam Alexis is probably their more of a contributor for them down low. I don't know what names stand out on this roster. Who are guys that we need to be watching, and overall, what is it that would scare you for this game against Indiana?
You named a couple of them. The two main ones, Lamar Wilkerson. Not to say that two of the complaints from Indiana fans this season have been guard play, like consistency at guard, and toughness down low on rebounding. A lot of the same, not complaints from us, but like consistency down low complaints from us have been especially the other night we saw it glaringly in some cases. Being unable to rebound, being not being able to be tough with the ball in the first half. I think Louisville did a great job in the second half, obviously. Lamar Wilkerson. I think he's going to have his hands full today. I'm not sure who they're going to switch on him on defense. I know Arkansas did a good job switching on and off of Michael Brown, kind of kept him quiet for a little bit, and kept Ryan Conwell pretty much in his shell for the majority of the game. I think for me, it's just going to be it's Tucker. If I'm honest, this is a guy that honestly, I was really afraid when he went down. It's not that I was glad he got hurt. I never want to say that, but it was definitely that changed the game, and I know West Virginia fans last year, that was the one thing I said, well, if Tucker didn't go down, you guys were in trouble. And I tended to agree with that. Not in trouble to where we were going to lose the game, but he was definitely the X factor. And I think he's the X factor on this team. And like you said, they both want their get back with us, with Pat Kelsey. This team's a lot better. Our team is a lot better than last year's team. And I think this team is not going to have to go down and hunt shots in the paint like last year's team had to do down the stretch. We really toughed that one out. Like we gritted. It was a Thanksgiving game, but that was a gritty win for us. It was Chuck's Giving, that famous game that he had where he was down low and pivoting and looking. You're not going to get that today. I think Ryan Conwell will be able to. I think it's a Ryan Conwell game just to switch gears from fears into what I'm confident in. I think Ryan Conwell, you saw a rare performance from him the other night against Arkansas. I think he's going to have plenty of room to operate. I think he's the tougher guard in the matchup, no matter who you put on him today. I think he's going to get loose. Obviously, Michael could do his thing. I think it's going to be a free-flowing game. But one thing I will point out stat-wise, and this should be fun for any college basketball fan, that whether you're in the older bracket, I guess I don't know where I think I'm in the middle. But if you're in the older bracket of people that remember Bobby Knight and Denny Crum and those matchups back in the day, or if you just want to see this be revived and you like the new style of ball that both teams are playing, they play very similar style. Both teams average 20 assists per game. Actually, I think Indiana is 20, Louisville's 19.8. Both, let's see, in assist to turnover, both teams are in the top 10. Louisville is 10th, Indiana's 5th. Cards 9th in field goal defense, Indiana 20th. So I think that that's specific to the opponents we've both played. Louisville hasn't had a very obviously. Kentucky keeps losing. Cincinnati keeps losing. I mean, our schedule doesn't look as tough as we thought at first, but nevertheless, those are still where we're ranked in those respective stat divisions. But I think this bodes well for a really fun basketball game, a really clean basketball game, and I think there's going to be a lot more scoring than people are predicting. I may have like the highest score prediction out of anybody. A lot of people are predicting this in the middle. Kind of like a grinder game down the stretch. I just don't see it that way. I think it's going to be up and down, a clean game, a get right game for both.
Yeah, I think that
we have
so producer Jacob talking in our ear.
Sorry.
We are getting live reports that there is a massive traffic jam. Who could have thought that having a rivalry college basketball game with over 20,000 people that sold out and the Big Ten championship game with the same fan base could potentially cause some issues today.
Presley, does that sound like a pregame traffic situation that you are familiar with at all?
No. I have never been. I've never been running late to a neutral site game within an hour and a half of my city. That has never happened to me against a team that plays in a very similar color.
Right.
No, in all seriousness, it is kind of odd. Louisville fans gravitate to Cincinnati. Had, I don't know, 10, 12,000 people. I don't know what the official attendance number was. Way better than we expected in Cincinnati, but I don't think it was all the fans going up. I think it was just naturally Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky traffic. And kind of crappy weather heading up. What was that? 2 weekends ago now. I think it was 2 weekends. 2 weeks ago, something like that. Anyways,
I think so.
2 Fridays ago. So it's been 15 days ago. There you go.
There you go. Bam.
So two red and black teams, and then you have Ohio State, Indiana, and Louisville all gravitating towards downtown Indianapolis 2 weekends later, all wearing red, all sitting in traffic. So yes, that seems to be a common theme. So if you are sitting in traffic, give us a shout out, tweet at us, comment on YouTube, wherever you're watching or listening. No, I mean, as we dive into this game, though, I mean, I think that these are two teams that want to play sort of a similar style in a sense that they play, high pressure defense, but they're not gonna like wow you either with their defensive pressure. It's more focused on the offensive end. Good ball movement, high pace. They want to play a lot of possessions. And so, naturally, as we've discussed, that leads to more long rebound opportunities. That leads to more, issues as far as turnovers and as far as, you're going to get more turnovers, but you're going to get more assists. You're going to get more 3-point attempts, but you're going to make more threes. Like that's the math. You have more possessions, you score more points. And if teams aren't, really used to that, it's very difficult to play against. But when you have two teams like this, like if Louisville played in Alabama or Louisville played, trying to think of another, Power 5 level team that's super high paced.
IU Indy.
Yeah, IU Indy. Is that the team
IU
that's...
Indy, for whatever reason, putting up a lot of points, shooting very well.
Are they not the team that's leading the country in scoring right now? Am I totally misremembering that?
No, I think you're right. Yeah. And because I was looking at all these stats earlier. I think that's what jumped out. I'm like, what is going on in Indy? And speak of the devil, we're playing in Indy today. So
yeah, well, either way, this is going to be a game where you have two teams that are fighting against this reputation that you're not getting the ball to the bigs enough. You're not, there's a gaping hole down low. They're going to try to spread you out, take the big away from the basket, and neither team likes being the aggressor on defense necessarily. It really depends, right? Like I think Kobe Rogers plays a game at a neutral site in a similar way that, if he plays similarly to how he played against Arkansas, I don't think that the game is called that way, right? Like if that Arkansas game is the NCAA tournament and you're playing in Seattle, I don't think that Kobe Rogers is taken out of the game with foul trouble. So I think things like that, you're not going to see a lot of that today. But point being, I think both teams are kind of fighting this narrative, right? That they don't have a big man presence, that they are soft. That I mean, and look, the allegations are both for both teams appeared correct. Uh,
Sure, that's fair.
on what was that Wednesday night? I
Hmm.
mean, you have Minnesota just absolutely bullies IU for 40 straight minutes. And I mean, let's be honest, Louisville struggled when Sananda Free was not in the game against Arkansas.
Hmm.
And so you have to figure out what the solution is. I think for Louisville, this becomes less of an issue once you have Case and Pryor back and fully healthy, right? Like I think this conversation is much less relevant in mid January or
Hmm.
as we're heading into March than it is right now. But look, I mean, you do kind of have a bit of an Ali Khalifa problem right now if you're Louisville, and I know that Ali brings a specific skill set to the table, and when it's good, it's great, right? Like when you bring in Adrian Woolley, Kobe Rogers, and Ali Khalifa, this is a completely different team than the starters you have on the floor.
Yeah.
But I do think that the way that you beat this Indiana team may be a little bit different than how Louisville normally plays. So I'm
Hmm.
interested to see what that looks like. Right? I don't think, not to just give out all my takes here, but I don't think that Michael Brown. I don't think that there's somebody that can get in front of him and stay in front of him. I
Right.
don't I don't think there's anybody that can get in front of and stay in front of Ryan Conwell. I think those guys are going to feast today. I think this is a game where Adrian Woolley could feast, right? Like Louisville has
Agreed.
some
Yeah.
some guards that play extremely downhill, extremely aggressive, and also happen to shoot the shit out of it, right? So I mean, this is a game where Isaac McNeely played really under control against Arkansas. Like this is a game where I could see him playing well.
Yeah.
Um, on the defensive end, though, that's where it concerns me. Like I could see this being a really up and down, like you said, Alan, really up and down, really back and forth game. And my thought is like, and what intrigues me the most about this game is what does Louisville do to kind of combat what Indiana's strengths are, right? Like they're gonna want to do the same exact thing as you, spread it out, play up tempo, shoot a lot of threes. What ultimately what does that look like, and what does Louisville need to do to step in and combat Indiana's similar type of threat? I think both of these teams think that they have a good matchup.
Yeah. It's you mentioned a couple players. You mentioned you just touched on it. Case and Pryor,
Yeah,
and not Kanai Roos. Why can't I? Adrian Woolley.
right.
Those are two players that if I had like Louisville's X factor, like under that category, those would be the two players. I think Adrian Woolley and Ryan Conwell, for that matter, rebound exceptionally well from the guard spot. I think this is a game where if you can get like 4 rebounds from each of those guys, maybe like 3 from Isaac, like if we can just by committee kind of like like attack them where they struggle the most. And I like Reed Bailey, honestly, for IU. I think he's tough. I think they're about as hard on him as we are on Ali Khalifa for rebounding and things like that. But he's got his hands full today with Sananda Frew. That's fine. That's a fair that's a fair criticism, if you will, from the IU fan base.
Sure.
But I think for me, like what you want to do if you're Louisville is kind of jump out and you then step on the gas a little bit down the stretch. Though I wouldn't be surprised, and this is kind of what they did with Kentucky. Is down the stretch they kind of just pumped the brakes. They reeled you in, like we don't need to play fast anymore, and just kind of like bucket for bucket, like we can go, we can do our half court offense. I like a lot, and that is one
Hmm.
thing I've learned about this team that I was not too high on preseason. I thought we'd be more run and gun, and just not settling for ill-advised shots, low percentage shots. I don't think we do that in our half court, but that's something that. If this game's going to be in the 80s, I think we get there quicker and then kind of just like trickle down as it's a final, I guess, segment or two goes on. Like if it's an 8-minute segment and Louisville's up by like, this is just hypothetical, if we're up by like 7, I'm going to feel pretty comfortable in just, reeling it in and running them off the 3-point line. That's what they're going to be looking for in that situation. And trying to make them go inside and kind of funnel them into the things they don't want to do as a team. And again, that's no shade on Reed Bailey at all. Like I said, I really like the kid. I think he's got a pretty good upside. But that has been the glaring shortcomings for Indiana this year is he has not been able to establish himself and dominate in any sort of way I think he's due for a game or two, though. I just don't think that comes today against Sananda.
Yeah, yeah. I I am with you 100%. Um, I am I don't know. Like I'm not sure we have enough of a sample size to see, and I think that's why this game is so intriguing to me, right? Like I'm not sure if we have enough of a sample size to see how Louisville's going to combat that. I think
Mm-hmm.
this team is one of one in a sense for Pat Kelsey, and with the thought of last year you really had to adjust to the roster that you had, and you had to
Mm-hmm.
continue to adjust just based on attrition, and injuries across the roster.
Sure.
So I really am interested to see that what do you do against a team that plays a similar style to you, right? Like I don't think that they play at a breakneck pace
Yeah. Right.
like Louisville does, but they move
Mm-hmm.
the ball really well, and they're going to force you to defend until they get a good shot. And when they take those shots, they make them more often than not. So, is this a game where Louisville is content with trying to go up and down, or is it something where you play Kobe and Adrian a little bit more, and let them kind of take over on the defensive end? Like I think if you have um, a lineup of like Kobe Rogers, Isaac McNeely, Adrian Woolley, Javon Hadley, and Frew or Roots. I think that could be an exciting defensive minded type of lineup. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm interested to see if you get like a Kenai Roots, if you get more of a stepping up from Javon Hadley. And that was the other thing I was going to bring up, right? Like, where does Javon Hadley fit into the equation here for Louisville basketball? Last year, he was such a stud. Like, he was unflappable. He always made the open shot when he got it, but he didn't take too many. I mean, we saw it against Arkansas a little bit, right? Like he wasn't hunting a shot. He wasn't doing anything outside of his, what was best for the team, I guess. But when he takes a shot, he normally makes it. When there's a rebound to be gotten in his area, he normally gets it. But it's just his identity with this specific team has not been fully rounded out. I mean, I don't think I think that's kind of the case with a lot of the players on this team still, but I'm most curious about Javon because I think that he can be such an asset to this team. I just don't think that he's found his comfort zone because you have a couple of guys that, I mean, to be frank, are kind of stealing your minutes and you're pushing you back into a little bit of a different position, right? And I mean, you have Isaac
Yeah.
McNeely, playing a large factor. Kenai Roots, obviously, you want to factor in quite a bit, and then you have Kaysen trying to find minutes where he can, and all of that is at the detriment of Javon Hadley. So I am kind of curious to see if this is the game where he steps up. I would love to be sitting here in 2 hours, Alan, and say like, okay, Javon Hadley, that was the guy, and I think
Yeah.
that's my prediction for today is that will be the case because you're
I love
seeing
that.
you're seeing in little spurts what he could look like. But I think that this Indiana team presents an opportunity for Javon Hadley and Kenai Roots to really step up and be the guys that we know that they can be. My one, I don't even know if it's a criticism, but my one thought of Kenai is simply that in a season where he was expected to take a big step up and he looked so good in the first two games and like his game
Yeah.
was really evolving as we've kind of gone on to play a little bit more difficult of a schedule, you've seen him take just a bit of a step back. I think it was an early criticism of Terrence Edwards last year, right? That when you played Incarnate Word, he was the best player in the country. But when you play
Hmm.
Arkansas or Indiana or whoever, he kind of took a back seat and they took him out of his game. And I think that's very much in a way how Kenai Roots has been this year. When he knows that somebody can't guard him, he is gonna put a motherfucker on a poster, right? Like he's gonna
Right.
he's gonna take somebody off the dribble and do something really good. When he's playing guys that can defend that, when he's playing guys that are more athletic, longer, move their feet a little bit better, can jump with him, it's much less effective. So how do you become the player that Louisville needs him to be? I still think that it centers around Hadley, right? Like this is a guy that's going to get more minutes. This is a guy that last year was your leading rebounder. He has struggled to be that in this position this year,
Mm-hmm.
and so while Javon Hadley's always going to be that guy, whatever Louisville needs him to be, he has not stepped into a role where I feel like he's being confident and assertive enough yet with his role. And I think that's on in every aspect of the game, right?
Yeah.
Defensively, on the boards, and as a scorer as well.
Yeah. And, speaking of Kanai Roots, I think it's pronounced Roots. As I'm trying to train my mouth to say Roots more and
It's
more every
tough.
time we say
The
it,
H is there.
because like I know, yeah, it's the H exists, right? It's kind of like Thomas. I should be good at this. The H exists, but you don't hear it. Anyway, enough about me. Kanai is one that this is like 3 or 4 straight games we've looked at the tail of the tape, and we're like, this is a game that Kanai could jump out. Like I thought Arkansas, I was like, he could easily have 12 to 15 against Arkansas. The way the game is played, that's what I thought. You know what I mean? That's like I had it in my mind. And so this is 3 or 4 straight weeks, or not weeks, but just games that I'm like, this could be a Kanai game. This could be a Kanai game. This could be a Kanai game. The thing with him is, and I don't like to get into mental what a player's thinking or assuming or anything, or like they didn't want it enough. Like I hate that take. Like, oh, they just didn't want it enough as this person. How do you know? Like, come on. But I think with him, when a three goes down for Kanai, for whatever reason, man, it just kind of like, and he's still relatively young. He's a sophomore, but I think it kind of opens up everything else for him. I think he's so long and athletic that if he hits that first one, you don't want to get another one hit on you from a guy that really doesn't shoot it great. It shoots it well enough to, take it.
Mm-hmm.
So if he hits that first one or 1 out of 2, if he's open, I think they're going to jump out on him even more. But that's when if you underestimate him, and he'll go right around you. This is probably arguably 1 or 2 most athletic people on this team, outside of Michael or something like that. So that's my take on Kanai. As far as Javon, right? There was a play the other night against Arkansas where he got it on the wing. It's kind of like a fast break, but not really. Like we had it was like 3-on-3. Like the rest of everybody else was still catching up. So he had somewhat of a lane from the wing. He drives it to the middle and takes this weird little lean floater. I think it was over Brazil, and it hit grazed the front of the rim. And I thought, it's not what you want to see out of your fifth-year senior leader. You know what I mean? Like the glue guy. You don't want to see that. Like he's probably the captain of the team, in my opinion. But like again, like I'm gonna live and die. Like some people are like, oh, that was a terrible game by him. And actually, if you look at it, he really didn't have a bad game. He was just out-athleted, for lack of a better term. That's not a word. I know that. But like the thing about Javon is, on last year's team, he was probably the third option out of the starters. He was like option 3 behind Chucky and Terrence Edwards. This year he's 4, maybe even 5. It just depends on the matchup, what you want to get out of Sananda Frew, what kind of looks you want to get from Frew. Do you want to get some lobs or get it into Frew? He might jump up to the 4. And then Javon is the 5 and more of a facilitating forward, but we don't really see a lot of back down opportunities yet from him this year. That's not how Pat Kelsey's playing him. He's playing him more loose and free flowing. Shout out to him. He did hit, I think, the only 3 that he took. And honestly, when he shoots a 3, I feel good about it. That's another thing. Like that's another thing I'll pat him on the back for. I feel better him shooting a 3 than I do Kanai Roos, Kason Pryor. I'll be honest, even like sometimes Ali Khalifa, because Ali's are either like, oh, that's cash, or it's like off the side of the rim and the backboard gets like trapped, like one of those weird ones where it's like then like on the way back down the floor you're like, no, hustle back because that was fucking terrible. I think Javon he's just, the thing with Javon is like he's athletic enough. He just is. He plays like the 4, and he's 6'7". A lot of these teams that we run into, their 4 is like 6'9", 6'10", 6'11". The other night, Brazil is 6'9" or 6'10" and super athletic. So it's like, it's like I'll take the good with the bad. They probably have 3 or 4 NBA players on that Arkansas roster, and I think they were underrated at 22. And I'm not just saying that to be a homer. Like I know we got, they pretty much handled us the whole way. So I'm not saying, well, they beat us, they must be amazing, right? But that is the criticism for Javon right now is in that sample size against a team like Arkansas, and I think that's a little bit unfair.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I I think it's more just about the consistency that he provided last season, and how do you get back to that, right? Because that's, I think when Javon returned, if you put yourself in your shoes in the last week of March last year, first week of April, whatever it was, and Javon Hadley decides that he's returning, or even before that, right? And you're talking about who you want back. I think to a person, everybody said they'd rather have Javon back than Kaysen back. If you were given the choice. Right now, I think that because you have so many big name players, because you have so many guys that are touching the ball, that are making plays. His impact has been lessened significantly, but I don't think that means that he cannot become, something more. And I think that something more is Louisville need help on the boards, especially against these bigger, longer teams. They need. I understand that Louisville's been a solid rebounding team, but I mean, you saw them get exposed against Arkansas in that aspect, in that respect, right? So, we want to get
a little bit better rebounding team than Indiana. But to your point, overall, that has been that's something that we've all nitpicked on, and anytime that it comes up, if you can't grab a timely rebound, like against Cincinnati. Against Arkansas is the one game, honestly, that the more Cincinnati and Kentucky lose, it's the one that I'm like, all right, I'm going to start comparing everything to what happened in that game. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. We are at about 5 minutes until tip for Louisville, Indiana. This is your moment, Louisville. Make it their moment. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I was trying to fit that in somehow. That's main event slogan. Main event. Before we get into predictions, we will be out there for quite a few games this season. If you're not familiar with main event, Alan, you ever been to main event?
I have a couple times.
Yeah,
twice. But yeah, it was awesome when I went. So
main event's fantastic. Great food, great games, bowling, laser tag. You got it all. Our kids love main event. It's a vibe. Main event's a vibe because there are places where around town where you can take your kids, and it's great for your kids, and you love seeing your kids have fun. But main event's a place you can go for date night. The main event's a place that you can go where there's something for everybody of all ages. It's always well staffed, well managed, kept clean. Those are things that people value, right? Like when I go to one of these places that's just a germ infested ball pit of grossness. That's not my vibe, right? I bring hand sanitizer with me when I go to some of these places.
Sure.
Main event's not like that. Main event's a place where you can go grab a drink with the boys, happy hour, events, parties, all that good stuff. We will be out there for many of these Louisville or State of Louisville lives coming up. Shout out to Main Event. Great place to go catch the game if you've never been out there. In the east end of Louisville, just off Blankenbaker Parkway. As we get into our predictions, Alan, I don't know if you've looked at the betting market. I've gotten so away from sports betting, and I think that's because my wife and I share a bank account, and I think that's just that was just a prudent deal to make, to just not do that. There was the time, there's always that thought during the Kenny Payne era, where we went to almost every game during the Payne era, and you're sitting in the third row watching just whatever nonsense was going on there. But there was a game where Louisville played at home against a big name opponent. I'll tell you here in a second. And I was like, babe, we were in the process of making a big financial decision, and we had all this money put away, and we had not spent that money yet. And I was like, what if we just took half of this money and just put it on Louisville to lose, just money line, and just doubled our money just like that? What if we did that?
Yeah.
What if we did it? And that game happened to be when Louisville just waxed Florida State in the middle of the Kenny Payne era. And I just looked at my wife after the game, and I was like, God, this is why I should never play sports bets. But I will say is I always take a look at the line. I think the last I looked, Louisville was a 4.5-point favorite. From all accounts, it looks like this is going to be a very pro-Indiana crowd, very IU heavy crowd. And okay, so producer Jacob saying it's bet down to 3.5 now. So read into that whatever you may. But prediction wise, I think Louisville will cover. I'm going to go 101 to 89 is my prediction. I think they're going to get up and down a lot. I think was that your prediction?
Let's go.
No,
no, but we're in the same school of thought.
We're in the same
ballpark.
A
lot of that.
Yeah, I think that Louisville gets out to at some. I think at some point in the game, Louisville gets out to about a 20-point lead. I do think this is one of those where Louisville can force the pace a little bit, force IU to again another team that likes taking a lot of threes, force them to take some contested type of looks. And all of a sudden string together one of these runs that we've been so accustomed to under Pat Kelsey. So I'm going to go 101-89. I don't have any real big betting plays, but if I had to make one, I would take whatever. I would take the over on whatever Michael Brown's assists are. That would be my bet.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 5 or 6, 7, whatever, but again, both these teams average about 20 assists per game. It was the other night was a great ramp up, for something like this where you're going to have a lot more room to operate, in my opinion.
Sure.
Not as top tier athleticism across the board. Gosh, Arkansas was so athletic and so talented.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed. But yeah, I think like I said, we're in the same school of thought as far as predictions go. And for listeners, viewers right now, we did not exchange like numbers or like prediction numbers, scores, anything. And everybody else that I'm seeing, they have one mental tip off. They have a lot of people saying like Louisville 80 this or 90 this to 60 this, 70 this to Indiana. I think it's going to be a highly contested game. I'm going to go out on a limb. I put it out on Twitter the other day, as douchey as that is to say. But I think it'll be 88-84 Louisville in overtime. I think it's a close game at the end than we expect, closer than we expect. I think it's a free-flowing, fun game, great college basketball game to watch, and it'll be one that will be a classic in this series, in my opinion. 88-84.
Louisville, Indiana, tipping off right now on CBS. Let's get out of here. Go crack a Surfside. Go Cards.
Go Cards.